Vroom, vroom. But being hard on Susie now, because there's no more gallivanting about, so she's going to have to make films in the workshop, or she's going to get the sack. It's as simple as that, really. Obviously, it was a good excuse now to get all the engines out. I mean, I've had all these engines kicking around for years, and I thought, let's get them all out, take them to bits and see what we've got.
You're in the upholstery department.
Yeah, see, look, you watch it, I get my fingers in that crack.
Oh, excuse me.
Look at that.
I thought, well, that looks a lot cleaner, that one, than that one.
Yeah, well, there you are.
Is it leather?
Plastic.
Oh.
It's a cheap little car. But that's amazing, isn't it? See, I've got magic in them fingers, darling.
What have you used to clean the seat?
Well, proper interior cleaner. You know, so when it's all done, it's all nice, even though it's original, it's scrubbed up.
Wow.
If you look at that, see, it's all a bit rusty, but this one has actually come off.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to weld that black. And then what I'll do is...
Does it need any more stuffing?
Yeah, exactly. If it doesn't feel really good, that feels good, that one. I think this one, it's always seen a driver's one and it's more saggy. So what I do is I put a piece of foam rubber in there. But you see, I love original seats. Because I don't think this car's done any miles.
No, just done some rusting.
It's, you know, it's... I mean, it blew its engine up at one stage. And it went back to Speedwell, and I've got the bill for that.
Mm.
And then, in the history it says that his friend, one of his friends, worked at Boreham in Ford's. And Ford's had bought this little engine to look at. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it's got a light and flywheel, and the rockers just look fabulous. See, they're all lovely shaped, and they're cast, and a real magic.
Okay.
Now, I had a Formula Junior engine years ago, and it looked like that. We'll just take the bits and have a look at it.
Okay.
But I've got several engines, so... Yeah.
Right, we're back in the workshop. What's going on?
Well, we're now looking for an engine for this car.
This car?
Yeah. The engine that was in it, there was a story in the history about how it came from Ford's. Some bloke worked at Ford's and the engine was in the competition department or something, I don't know. But anyway, as it happens, it's quite true because we took it to pieces and it is a genuine Formula Junior engine. So it's got polished rods. It's got the crankshaft with the thick web. It's got the light and flywheel. I think that's a 544 cam. So it's an early...
So it's got a few fancy bits on.
And it's got the fork, and it's got gnome pistons. And I had a Formula Junior engine before. I've had two of these engines in my life. And the number on the top of the piston and everything's dead right. But, unfortunately, the circlip's come out and it's damaged the bore pretty bad, so it would need sleeving. So in a way that doesn't suit us because we're going to fit the original supercharger that was on the car when it was new, which is here. This is a proper BMC supercharger that the car was fitted with when it was brand new. So we're going to go back to that.
Oh, a Shorrock Supercharger.
Yeah. So we're going back to that.
Okay.
But the thing is, we don't really want dome pistons. If we're going to supercharge it, we want a low compression. So luckily, we've got this old BMC engine here, which has got the concave pistons.
Oh, that's a different engine.
Yeah, this is another engine. Luckily, I've collected
So
all...
that head, or that stuff in the box is off the original engine.
That's off the original engine, which was a genuine Formula Junior engine.
A genuine Formula Junior engine, yeah.
And then we've got this engine, which I think, I don't know what it is, but it is a little bit interesting because it's got a 6.
It says 950 on it.
Yeah.
And then there's some numbers here.
A 6, oh yeah, it's a 950 engine.
28799.
You see that clutch there, right? That came out the Formula Junior engine.
That's out of the Formula Junior.
Yeah, that's got 4 springs. That's got 6 springs.
And what's that one out of?
Off that engine there.
This one.
So, you know, I don't know, probably a Morris Mine 1000 engine. Could be a Sprite engine. So what we're thinking of doing at the moment, we're thinking that we won't use the cylinder head off that engine because again it's a very nice cylinder head and it's got very high compression. We can't use the pistons out of that engine because again, and we can't use the cylinder block because it's damaged. So we're sort of making our mind up as we're going, and you know we change our minds in a second. But we could use that block and those pistons and then...
So which pistons?
These ones.
Oh, they're still in there, yeah.
You see, that would be a low compression engine, that. So if we use that cylinder block, which is a 950, which is...
And where's this engine come from? Your treasure?
Yeah, just out of the stuff, you know. I mean, when I... You know, listen, I don't throw nothing away, so I don't know where I got that from. But it turns lovely, look. And I'll tell you what, John, it don't feel like it's got any wear on the bores.
They look alright, do they?
Yeah, they feel bloody marvellous. So, you know, probably buy a set of piston rings, but the Formula Junior engine has a strong
Is this the Formula Junior engine?
Yeah, this is the Formula Junior engine, which is quite badly damaged. Just here, there's a great lump out the bore where the circlips come out, because it's got the circlips. We'll talk about that, but this part of the block here, look, is machined away.
Yeah.
And that, normally those bearings are the same each side. That width there is the same both sides, like that one in the middle. See, that's the same width, and that, look, is narrower. And that has been machined away to fit the stronger crankshaft.
Okay.
Which I think is in the M40B crank, which is in the Formula Junior engine. So the thing is, if you read the original history of this car, it broke its crank.
In the early days.
In the early days, and it went to Speedwell to have the engine done, and there's bills from Speedwell, one thing and another. So if we was to use that block with them pistons, machine away that so we can put the bigger crank in it, or the stronger crank, that would be a good thing. And then we could use the lovely polished and lovely balanced conrods.
Yeah.
We could put those pistons back in that block.
Ones.
So we'd have a stronger crank, nicer conrods, and all new bearings and new, what they call it, piston rings. But the other thing we need to think about is the camshaft. Now that has got, I think it's a kind of 544 cam, which is quite a tweaky cam. It's a good cam actually. Be a good cam to put in the Mini. But anyway, that's when we're going to have to make our mind up what cam to use. So now this is where our followers go, because there's going to be people out there who've been working on BMC engines all their life. What cam do we put in a Shorrock Supercharged 950 engine?
Okay.
So we'd like some advice there. You know, send us some what you think. Shame to break up the Formula Junior engine. So that's another thing we've got to think about, but whatever way it goes, that block's going to need sleeving on one cylinder. And as it happens, I had a couple of new Formula Junior pistons in stock, which is ridiculous. So I've still got to make my mind up.
So today's all about dismantling.
Yeah, dismantling, have a look at what we've got and make our mind up what to do. Because, you know, this has also got a lovely original long manifold with a 45 Weber. It's a very good engine, and there might be somebody, you know, or I might even be thinking, well, it'd be a nice thing to keep and have it put together nicely. We could get that block sleeved.
Okay.
And the other thing about it is, the original pistons in the Formula Junior engine, and that's a new piston that I've got. I just happen to have that because an engine, years ago an engine blew up and they only put 2 pistons in it, and they're exactly the same as the ones in here. But that top ring is a Dykes ring.
Dykes ring?
Yeah, very unusual.
Oh, it does sound unusual.
Well, it is anyway. It's a Dykes ring. So whether you could get them or not, I don't know. But we could machine it out and just put a modern ring in there. So there's no reason why we couldn't put that engine back together and keep it all original, which might be the right thing to do. But till we've looked at everything and thought about it.
Yeah. And have we done an update of what's fitted on the body shell?
Well,
What John's done?
I'll tell you on the inside is this car originally, when it was new, had this was an extra that you could order, so you could lock
The treasure.
what do you call it, the boot really. We've still got that, and I've still got the thing in the doors, but unfortunately the floor mats are desperate. You couldn't do anything with them. I think we'll fit that, because that again is original. So another thing is, if anybody out there knows whether anybody's ever managed to do something about them.
About the floor mats?
Yeah, because it would be nice to put originals back, but look, let's see. Not a lot of chance.
No, not good that.
But one of the things about this car was it's never been disturbed. Although it was rotten rusty, it's got everything it ever had, you know, from when it was new. So all the seats are all original. Look, they cleaned up. That's before cleaning.
Oh, and then there's one that you've cleaned.
But you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put it back together, having cleaned everything immaculately.
Yeah.
And then at a later date, we can go back to that. But you know, that could be stuck down. I don't want this car to look like new. That is original.
If you just put that oil on there,
Just
then
put the thumb on there.
better get that off.
But you know, I'm a great believer in, you know, putting back what's there.
So the suspension's all done.
I'm not happy that we're not putting the original front back, but we will do probably one day.
And didn't we change? Was it the anti-roll bar or the?
No, that roll bar's all original, but
Are those bits you tweaked?
these bits here, we didn't have them rubbers, but we got them now.
Yeah.
And that is a modification. That's a rear shock absorber thing that we shortened down, because that's how it was when we got it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a skinny little roll bar, but again, it's original. It's like this, you see, this. I mean, I can put a much nicer oil cooler on than that, made of aluminium and everything. But you see, that is a Delaney Galley one. And in 1960, when this car was new, it's quite possible that that was all that was available.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a bit of mystery, really.
And what were you telling me about the brakes and the calipers?
The brakes, yeah. Well, come round here and I'll show you. First of all, as an original Sebring specification car from new, this had Riley 1.5 rear brake drums. So the original brake drums are sort of like that, and these are bigger. So we managed to buy some new drums.
What was wrong with the old ones?
Well, they were just rotten rusty, like the rest of the car. So there's the new drums. And then, first of all, I looked at this and I thought, well, that all looks a bit bodgy. But when you think about it, in 1960, if you'd have ordered a Frog Eye with wire wheels. You couldn't have took the wire wheels off of another car because there wasn't one. The MG Midget wasn't around with wire wheels. So that is original, how they did it in my opinion. And the other thing that made me realise that was, years ago I was at Spa with my Lotus 11 I think it was, and I was talking to a bloke with a little Sebring type Sprite, and I said, oh, you know, I've always wanted one of them, lovely little car, blah blah blah. And he said, well, he said, you won't believe it, he said, but when we get the FIA papers we have to narrow the back axle. And I thought, well, that's funny, and I never ever realised why, and he didn't tell me why, but now I think what happened was, when they did the original homologation papers for the Frog Eye, it had that type of rear hub, which would have been narrower than the later proper wire wheel axle. So they'd obviously got the measurement from an early car, and then when you wanted to put that later back axle, which had proper wire wheels on it, it was too wide, so they had to narrow it.
Oh, maybe.
Sounds ridiculous, but... So that's what gives me the thought that that is original. So, unfortunately, obviously using it every day and the miles it done, I think one of them came loose. And again, it was ordered new with 60 spoke wheels, which is what they are. But you can see where those nuts have been hitting on the back of there.
Oh, yeah.
So we've decided that we're going to be a little bit cleverer than that. So we had to really do the countersink on them to 45 degrees to square it all up. And we also have made it so that that all registers. This registers on the half shaft, that registers, so it's all registers. So don't rely on them to hold it in the middle. But, so when we made those countersinks a bit bigger, we've used original nuts, but we've turned them upside down so the thread goes all the way in. And so that's how we've done that. But what I've done is I've drilled a hole there, and I'm going to make a piece of metal up to go on there so that when you tighten up the nuts it goes on there, and we have a bolt in the middle so there's no way they can come loose.
Oh, okay.
We've also fitted the heavy duty half shafts, which you can buy from these days, you just buy them. So I just happen to have some. So we've fitted the heavy duty half shafts, we fitted the, we made all that better, and we've made it all register as well, because it didn't register, there was a, you know, it wasn't right. So now we come to the front. Well, because the front, again, had funny old disc brakes, because you couldn't go and take them off a later car, because there wasn't one. So it's got these calipers. Luckily, we've got our lovely man who has bits for these things. So it's got new stainless steel pistons and all the rubbers, and a nice new one of them. But they were all right, you know. We bead blasted obviously, and we painted them to make them look all right. And we managed to get some pads, but we've also got the pads that came out, which we're going to try originally. But again,
What was the bit that John was machining yesterday?
right, so these are the original discs. Which again, because it's been kicking around for years, well, you know, I mean, you can't do anything with that really if you're going to really drive it properly. So we went on the internet and it said that Triumph Spitfire discs are possible to modify because they're too big. So we reduced them down in size, but then the other problem was there was nowhere for that to register. So what we've done, and this sticks up too far. So we've taken 1.5 mil off of there, so that when you put that on there, it registers.
Yeah.
So when we bolt that up, that'll all run absolutely true. Now, the difference between that and that is, I think, 3 mil. So we might have to just have a spacer behind the caliper to get the caliper dead in the middle. So that's an assembly job which we'll get on with soon. But luckily the hubs are all in lovely condition. We cleaned them up and I made sure there's no burrs on there. So ideally, obviously, it's all got to run lovely through. So we've overcome that. So there we are. So they are the original rear bumpers, and as you can see, they've had a little knock. But again, I think you can buy new ones of these, but I don't want to buy new ones. So when we get the blaster out, we're going to blast all the mountings, and we blast all that in there. And then I'll clean them up, and I'll put them back like that to start with. But eventually, they will go away to be re-chromed. It's an Erling pump, that. It should look like. Oh, that's the other thing.
Is early pump good or bad?
No, we'll put a new one in, won't we? That's what the later pump looks like.
Okay.
But the other thing that makes this a proper Formula Junior engine, it's got that special drive.
Okay. So that's off the other engine?
That's off the Formula Junior engine, and that's off the Formula Junior engine. This could be a Morris Minor 1000 engine or something, but it doesn't matter. The block's in good condition, it'll be good. I'm always saying that circlips like that, that's a circlip, it's a proper circlip, are dangerous.
Yeah.
I never put my engines together with them in. I'll even find a spring, a thin spring, and just put clips in there. Because what happens is that tends to turn. Now what's happened is this has blown up purely because of that, look. That circuit has broken up, come up there, damaged the block, damaged the piston, because you can see where it's broken, gone up there, and then it's pushed the piston that way, so you can see, look, all the damage. And that is them. They are useless. What you need to do, you need what do they call them, John? It's just a ring, isn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah, like a spring clip.
A spring clip. It's not.
A spring clip.
A spring clip. And then what you do, you put a little bit of a radius on the outside of the gudgeon pin, right on the edge there. So as it's pushing against it, it's pushing it into the thing, rather than pushing it out.
Okay.
Look, you can see where that's all shiny. That's been turning and rubbing on that circlip.
Yeah.
Not so much that
And
side.
what do you use circlip pliers for?
Pulling your teeth out.
Is that something you've done?
Yeah, we did have a bit of aggravation, didn't we? And the dentist was worried about pulling my teeth out because my gum had got recession due to my cancer and what they call it, radiology and all that.
Yeah.
And in the end, I got the circlip pliers and pulled it out. But yesterday, I went and got the other tooth, this one, taken out properly. So I'm feeling in a very good state now. Right, this is the crankshaft that we just took out that standard engine that we thought might be anything Morris Minor. And this is out of the Formula Junior engine. And you remember I mentioned that the main caps were small on one side. Now you can see why, look, because that is much thicker than that. And so consequently...
That's got little ridges in it.
A shell.
Ivan, can you see little ridges there?
Oh yeah, well that,
And there?
Yeah, well that's...
Is that broken off?
That's just to do with production. What about bearing, John, out of both engines, and then we can...
So if you had which one would be machined? The one with the picture?
The front ones. Now you can see it there, actually.
Not that one, is it?
See how that is equal there to there, and this one isn't, look, it's shorter there, to make up for that thickness. Yeah, that's the standard. Let's wait till we get the other one. Yeah, that's it. Oh. Right. This is the one from the Formula Junior engine. And that face there has been machined off, and the bearing, look, is a different width. And this is from the standard engine. And you can see the difference.
So that's the Formula Junior.
That's Formula Junior, that's standard, and the width of the back main just there is narrower.
Yeah, can see that.
And that is done to be able to get that thick crank web in.
Okay.
And then I believe that these cranks were special, and they weren't made of the ordinary metal. They were made of EN40, I think. Because again, I had one of these engines before, and like a fool, I sold it to somebody. You see, that probably means something on that there.
It's totally different, isn't it?
Yeah. See, it's thicker there, isn't it?
Yeah, and you see all the cutaways here.
Yeah, yeah.
That's probably all to do with balancing.
It's all to do with balancing competition. Now, when we were thinking about what we're going to do, I said we're going to have a good look at it all and think about it. Now, I've come to the conclusion that it would be madness to destroy this engine.
Yeah.
Because it's a proper little thing, and I haven't got no immediate use for it, but it would be a shame to mess it up, if you know what I mean. Tell you what, John, where's the carburettor? Because that's very nice. Now,
And
the
that's
other
the Weber carburettor that came on it.
yeah, and a special manifold with a number on it and everything. Come and have a look at this, Susie.
We're going to find out to him.
So then we think to ourselves, well, this is a very good block, and this won't need sleeving because this is the original Formula Junior block, and it's damaged. It's going to need a sleeve in there because there's a real lump of, bit in there.
Yeah. So that's the Formula Junior.
So then we say, well, really, we could use this block. But then when you start to look at it, this bit here is completely different. That bit there is not on that cylinder block. That 950 is there, and then the numbers are all different. So
Let me just look at the numbers on here.
That's the other side.
Oh yeah, 950. Yeah. Okay.
So you know, to be a proper engine, and then we get to the conrods. Those are the conrods in the standard engine, and they're the conrods in the Formula Junior engine. As you can see, they're much heavier and nicer, but the big thing is they've got a nut in there, and that's not good.
That's in the standard engine.
Yeah, that's in the standard engine. That's one of the bits that goes wrong if you really rev them.
Yeah.
Because this hasn't got that. So they rely on that to keep the gudgeon pin thing. This one, they relied on circlips, which again I don't reckon. So we'll have just straight rings in it if we do it. Just little clips. So that's a special bit. And then the pistons are very special. And the camshaft, of course, is special. But as it happens, I can't see anything on that to tell me what it is. But it's obviously a special cam.
And how does that compare to the one in the standard engine?
Well, it'll have more overlap and it'll be,
Okay.
you know, like a little racing thing. I would say, guessing that is a 544. It could be a 649, but I reckon 544 probably. I don't know a lot about BMC engines, it's just things that I've seen over the years, you know. Right, so that is the cam
On the
come out of the standard engine, and this is the cam out of the Formula Junior engine. And to be honest, it don't look that much different, but
I'm
it
glad you
is.
said that, but it looks different. Doesn't look much different. It's got a line on it there.
Oh yeah, no, not that. You see, if you look at how big that is, and how big that is,
Oh, it is.
it has got a bit more sort of lump in it just there. So it's got more valve timing. And it don't look terribly ridiculous. But you see, it's thicker there, isn't it? That bit there's, I think, a bit thicker than that. Don't look magnificently different. But you see, again, what happened was, when Formula Junior first came out, I think it was 1959, that engine was a winner. And then they invented or made the 105E Ford with the great big pistons and a little short stroke, and that was such a better engine, it made them totally redundant. And then they brought out the 1100 one of them, which was dry sump. I've never had one of them engines. But, you know, as an historical bit, it's good, you know, it seems a shame to spoil it, so I'm not going to spoil that. I'm gonna have that liner, and as it happened, luckily I had a couple of new pistons, so the one
So you'll have that linered, and then it'd just be a standalone engine.
it'd be a Formula Junior engine.
Okay.
So this is the carburettor that was on that engine,
Okay.
which all looks a bit crabby, but it's very nice. And I believe that is a proper BMC competition department number.
Okay.
And it's all beautiful inside, so it's obviously had all the treatment. So, you know, I've been collecting all this BMC stuff for years. What about that?
What's that?
Well, that is an aluminium sump.
Nothing to do with the car.
Most likely competition, because I've
Okay.
never seen one before. So that's another fabulous bit that we might put on the Sprite.
Okay.
Because I think they use this on the Le Mans cars to help hold the block together.
Okay.
So that's a...
So you've had that for quite a few years.
Yeah, something else, you know. Every time I see anything that I think's a bit special, I buy it, and it's nicely baffled as well. See, that goes on there, and then the oil runs in, cut the little holes in there. But, you know, I mean, that is a fabulous bit.
But you don't think you're going to put this Weber back on because you're going to put
No,
a
because it's going to
supercharger?
have... When the car was bought new, it had a supercharger on it, and I think we should stick to that.
Okay.
And I think all them Formula Junior bits are so good that, you know, we can't be wicked and just cut them up. Because, you know, they could be 1959 and all that stuff, which is a bit of luck that I had it, really. And it isn't going to suit that car, because it's got a very special little cylinder head. Let's get the cylinder head and look at that.
It's just, what's this now, the junior one?
Well, both of them, don't we? Because you'll be able to see the difference. That's the new one, isn't it?
You've got room to put it over there.
Yeah.
So this is standard.
This is a standard cylinder head from the, what's it, 950, is it?
Yeah.
That hasn't been modified at all, I would say. And then
What's
this,
that hammer in the way?
yeah, I did that so that it stands up nicely.
Yeah. Okay. And then this.
This That is the Formula Junior cylinder head. Now, first of all, that depth there is more shallow to raise the compression. And then if you look, see that old sharp edge round there? Remember when I was modifying the Mini?
Yeah.
I was doing it having seen one of them previously. So as you can see, that's all laid back and polished. The valves are bigger. The inlet valve, I think, is bigger than that one.
Yeah.
And certainly the exhaust valve is. Look how much bigger the exhaust valve is than that.
Other way.
That one's much bigger than that.
Yeah.
So that's, again, special little cylinder head. Now, when they did the formula, it was supposed to be from a production car. Well, obviously they didn't. They didn't come from a production car. I mean, at the factory, they got all the facility, and let's do a special cylinder block with a little bit more metal on there and a little bit more metal on there, and possibly the same with a cylinder head. You know, I mean, I don't know all about that. But I know there were special little engines. See, if you look at that, see how small that is compared to that.
Yeah.
And I would say, you know, all the valve springs would be stronger. The whole thing is a special little engine.
That on there says Britmo,
Yeah.
and that one says
Nothing.
Mohawk.
And then we're talking about the rockers. These are Formula Junior rockers. And as you can see, they're casting or a forging. But see, they're polished all over. That's the production rocker, which is just a pressing, very production, cheap to make, blah, 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 works fine. But, you know, they were revving these things to sort of 8,000 revs and that. So as you can see, look, it's all beautiful. If you look at where the valves have been hitting, they're all dead in the middle. So that is all absolute perfection. So that would have all been done in the works or wherever properly. Now if you look at this, to be honest, that looks pretty good. But you see that one's a little bit to one side. That one's really to one side. Look at that one. See, that's just production. Perfectly fine. If you're Morris Mine 1000, no problem at all. But obviously, if don't forget, when this was Formula Junior, and the blokes thought they were going to drive Formula 1 cars, this is how you started out. Yeah, well, we're going to clean this up. We're going to take out all the freeze plugs, or core plugs as they are, and then we'll decide whether we can get it clean enough, or we might send it off to the people that strip the body shell, and also, you know, they put it in the tank.
In the tank.
Yeah, it comes back absolutely beautiful, you know. Not nothing, just really clean. But what it does, it gets a lot of the stuff out of the inside, you know, where the water is. Because if you start revving it, you know, and put the blower on it, you don't want it to be too new. I see. The good thing is, it's like all these things, once we get it together, and it's all in the car, and all the nuts and bolts have been sorted out, it's all in the car, and we go, oh, we don't really like that. In 2 hours, me and John will have it out on the floor, and we can start again, thinking again. But the main thing is to get it in one lump, so we can have a drive in it. But I wouldn't,
I'll get the white brush on that now. Take that off in seconds.
yeah.
As good as it needs
God,
to be,
that's
isn't it?
transformed, isn't it?
That gets it off, doesn't it? Not off. This has got a proper white metal bearing at the front on the camshaft, and then further down it hasn't got any bearing. Look, it just runs in the iron and runs in the iron there, whereas that one has got bearings all the way through.
White metal.
Yeah. So, you know, that's another little tweak.
Ready?
Yeah. You going? Right, this is the dirt now. Look at that, look.
Ugh.
Now that...
So what exactly were you doing then?
Well, that is the main oil gallery.
Yeah.
And we're taking the plugs out because it has brass plugs in there.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, there's another one in there. Oh no, they're both there.
what we do, that's in there, solid.
Yeah.
So you drill a hole in it, put a thread in it, put a bolt in it and extract it out. So we'd have to make new ones of them to go in there. But this is what it looks like. Here's the junior block. See, look, that's it there.
Yeah.
So
you drilled that out of
So
the
you
other
drill
one.
it out and extract it out, and then you can clean the oil gallery out perfectly. And
Okay.
you saw that lump of horrible stuff that come out.
So now if I look down there, we should be able to see.
Well, yeah, you should be able to see the other end.
Oh yeah, you can.
But what I'm saying is, if you want to do a good job, you have to do it, especially if the engine's blown up, because then very often quite a lot of metal gets in there.
Yeah.
But we do it on everything, you know, whether
Okay.
it's a Maserati or a Ferrari, we take that out. And the conclusion is, we've got to keep the Formula Junior engine all in one bit. We can build up an engine for that with low compression, because obviously we're going to fit the Shorrock Supercharger, it doesn't want high compression. I'd like to get a straight cut dog gearbox for it, not necessarily straight cut, but a dog gearbox. Because I had one of those in my Lotus 11 and it was fabulous. But, you know, if we get one, we get one. If we don't, we don't. But anyway, so there we are, in the workshop doing some work. Dirty hands, look, dirty fingernails.
Dirty.
So that's it. And if somebody's got any advice about a cam for putting the Shorrock Supercharger on, and well, anything really, somebody who's had a bit of experience, because I've never had the experience of having a supercharger. So, you know, that would be very useful. So, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to press the like button.